Are you an expert in your field?
Do you want your voice to be heard?
Maybe you have a great idea for a show but don't know how to do it.
Well, we can make it happen.
Email the New Jersey Podcast Guys at njpodcastguys@gmail.com. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in New Jersey, contact our Coldwell Banker office in Wayne at 973-694-8000 or call Tim direct at 973-865-0249. You can also visit his website at www.homesinwaynenj.com. Tim's promise to you and your family is to provide you with exceptional real estate service while always working to exceed your expectations. And remember, at Coldwell Banker, we never stop moving. The New Jersey Real Estate Show is brought to you by the law offices of Joseph C. Petriello, located in Wayne, New Jersey. To contact them, call 973-890-7262. That's 973-890-7262. Are you purchasing or refinancing a home? Do you need a free same-day pre-approval? Then call Dean Scaduto from Coldwell Banker Home Loans at 201-322-3456. That's 201-322-3456. Welcome to the New Jersey Real Estate Show. Now, here are your hosts, Tim Waller and Matt Josephs.
Hello, everyone. Today's December 12th, 2016, and I'm Tim Waller, your host for the New Jersey Real Estate Show, along with my co-host today, Matt Josephs.
Yes. Hello, Tim.
He's also known as the voice of reason, and Peter Cornell, our engineer.
Well, thank you for allowing me to have a microphone.
Oh, it's our pleasure. How you guys doing today?
Good, good.
All right.
Doing well.
Wait, Pete, this isn't your first microphone on this show, is it?
No, but in a while.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Yeah, okay.
Well, listen, I'd like to also give a big thank you to the both of you
Oh, you're welcome.
for putting up with my nonsense on a weekly basis. No, I'm just kidding.
No, not nonsense at all, Tim.
Well, listen, Matt and Peter, we have a hot topic lined up for our listeners today. We're going to be discussing information every for sale by owner should know. Now, you're going to be able to receive a copy of this. All you have to do is just email us at thenjres@gmail.com. That's thenjres@gmail.com. And we will email this after the conclusion of the second episode.
Okay.
But listen, before we get into the discussion about our for sale by owners, I really want to talk about the election results from a few weeks ago.
Oh. Yes. The election results from
Come
a few
on.
weeks
I mean,
ago.
look, I hate to do this, Matt and Peter, and discuss politics, but this election was just too historic in nature.
Yeah.
Therefore, it would be greatly appreciated if you guys would give us your perspective on it.
Our objective...
Just in general, you know, we're gonna be straight down the middle. We're not taking sides. We'll look at it from both sides.
Here's what I think
the equation.
happened. Okay, what I think happened was enough people in the right states were fed up with the status quo of the federal government, with the quote establishment, that they said we're going to vote for Trump. And I know that a lot of people who were either anti-Trump or pro-Hillary like to frame them or say that those people, you know, that racism won and all that stuff. I think that's just intellectually small to say it that way. And it's stupid. That's like what a child would say. Really, it's the establishment that lost. I don't think anything particularly won,
right?
Except for the average American middle class working stiff that is, you know, worried about, do I have a future? You know, how long am I going to have to work until I retire? Right. And, you know, and then how long will my money last after that? Those people are getting sick of being called racists for not wanting to lose more of their money to taxes, or because they want some security at their border. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask a country to have secure borders, and I don't think they do either. Mm-hmm. And so really the same old in Washington lost. Do Do I think that Trump is going to go in there and do all those things that he promised? I don't think that's possible, because I think, as we saw with Obama, who promised a lot of lofty things to people that felt for him, for people who supported him, as we all learned from them, what they learned is that, there comes this point where somebody, I don't know who it is, but somebody sits down with the president-elect and says, okay, that was a cute campaign you ran, but here's how it's really going to go. And here's what you're not going to even come close to doing, because it's never going to happen. It's not up to you, blah, blah, blah. And then they go around and
you're referring to like the special interest groups and the lobbyists?
I'm talking, no, they got taken care of. I'm talking things like Gitmo, closing Gitmo. That's not, you're not going to do that. And they told him, they're like, that was adorable. That's really cute, class president type promises, but it's just not going to happen.
I think they said Hillary won the popular vote by what, almost?
1.7 million is what I saw.
1.7 million, a little under 2 million.
Yeah.
Right. So, Peter, what's your thought on the Electoral College?
You know what? I've seen so many articles since the election, both in favor and against the Electoral College. I think by its design, again, we started as a nation of states. Right, each one essentially a sovereign power, and they realized that there was going to be a disparity in populations. So to give every state a voice, they came up with the Electoral College. They also came up with the House of Representatives to give the people a voice. So I believe there was some. It's not just some antiquated system that we have. It does allow every state to be part of the election of a president. Right. I've also seen some arguments where if you take the amount of electoral votes that a Wyoming gets versus a California, there's less people represented in California per electoral vote. So I look at that and I think, well, maybe there's some validity to getting rid of the Electoral College. But it's also tough because I'm usually in the minority of the country with my political views. So I see a victory like this, or a Donald Trump victory, as the voice of those red states, of those middle states, those quote unquote flyover states, actually was heard. And I think for the, whether I agree with the outcome or I disagree with the outcome, I think it was historic in a sense that for me, I was only 2 years old when Reagan was elected, and that was an upset. This was the first upset that I saw.
Yeah.
Like Clinton was going to win.
Right.
And he was going to win again. What?
She was going to win.
No. I mean Bill Clinton. I'm sorry. President Clinton.
Okay.
President Clinton was going to win. Between George W. Bush and Al Gore, it was kind of like anyone's race. There wasn't one clear front runner.
Right.
There wasn't really one clear winner in 2000.
But you know what, though? If you look at presidential history, right, most of them are forgettable. You're not always going to have a Kennedy or a Reagan or a Lincoln. Those guys, we remember those guys because they were exceptional, right? Or they got their heads blown off.
Right, but I think it's
you have more Millard Fillmores than you have anything else.
Right, and I think it's the first time in my lifetime that I've seen quote unquote democracy, in live action. This was the voice of the people upsetting the status quo, and that's really what this country has moved forward on.
If you looked at all the polling, the polling was indicating that it was a victory for Hillary.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that in this movement, and that's exactly what it was, I think it was a movement.
Yeah.
Because here you have a guy that would say things that weren't politically correct.
Right.
And I think he was speaking for a lot of Americans who were maybe too embarrassed or didn't have enough nerve to say what he was saying.
They lost their nerve. They were used to losing, and they would rather be quiet and keep their feelings to themselves than risk being called a racist or a sexist or a homophobe. And it's just it's the low road to take when you do that to people. It just shows that you really don't have an argument if you have to attack someone's character.
I don't see how the argument can be there because...
For what?
President Obama was elected not only once, but he was elected twice.
Right.
So you can't then therefore say that because Trump won, he's a racist and Hillary lost.
You just don't understand white privilege, okay? Tim?
Well, I don't want to talk about white privilege. What I want to see now is I want to see the country come together as one. I want Donald Trump, or President-elect Donald Trump, to be the president for all people, and to make decisions that are in the best interest of the United States and the citizens of the United States.
That would be wonderful. But
Yeah, except that every decision, whether it truly is in the best long-term interest of every citizen, is going to be spun.
yeah.
Which is exactly, I mean, they say this was a referendum not so much against the status quo or Washington establishment, but against the media. And that's what I think it was. I mean, and you could see even on, conservative Fox News, or at least right-leaning Fox News, like, they were shocked. They got it wrong, too.
Yeah.
You know? And then there was just a few people that from the beginning, like, what's her name? Ann Coulter, who said, like, Trump from the beginning, like, everyone laughed at her. There's that clip of her on the Bill Maher show, her getting laughed at, and she called it from the beginning.
And the thing I love about that is they laugh at her almost like taunting children do.
Right.
And she just sits there like stoic and stone-faced, and I guess she was very patient because...
I will say one last thing. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm just taking over the show. No,
That's why we don't let them on the show all the time.
You look at histories, right, where quote unquote dictators or tyrants get put into power, right?
Yeah.
You can look at 1930s Germany, right? And who would ever think that? I mean, Hitler, as disgusting and as bad as he was elected into office. He didn't force his way into office. He did it legally, and he did it by getting a rise out of people.
Right.
But Germany was also in a situation where it was so bad that people needed a voice. They needed to have something that could possibly lift them up. And I'm not saying that Donald Trump is Hitler by any means.
It sounds like you're
No. But I'm saying that if for anyone that can be like, oh, how could anyone elect this Donald Trump who's so deplorable and says these horrible things and all this other stuff? There are people in that position where they felt that they had no other way to go.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that's speaking to them and saying, you know what? Maybe these are all the problems,
Yeah.
So let's
well,
give him a shot.
and a lot of what he was saying too, I think I've heard around more dinner tables than I've heard people say that resembles anything like Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And or what Hillary Clinton says. So I think he was I don't know, he was just smart, and he's like, you know what, this is what people are saying at dinner, and I'm gonna start saying what people say at dinner out loud.
Right.
And I'm gonna win.
When it comes down to it, people want the problems fixed, and if they don't want to be handed and say, well, we're gonna give you more food stamps.
Yeah.
They don't want that.
Right.
They want
You're feeding the problem.
I'm gonna create an environment where you're gonna get a job.
Yes.
And be able to feed your own family.
Yeah.
Like, that's what people want more than anything. I think that's human nature.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing I'll say about Donald Trump. The man hates to lose.
Right.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think he's going to be successful as a president.
I agree with you because
He'll find a way. He'll reach across the aisle when he has to
Yeah.
to make things work.
No, I agree. And I gotta be honest. I thought he was going to lose I didn't think he'd win the election. I thought it was going to be Hillary. I was like, there's no way that they're going to let her lose.
Like, even when he was winning the whole night, I stayed up till 2:30 in the
I
morning.
did too.
Even when he was winning, I'm like, there's going to be some way she'll pull
I
this
was
out.
waiting for her to. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you saw the difference between CNN and Fox, where Fox had him at 254 electoral votes, and
yeah.
CNN only had him at 230.
Right.
Too close
CNN
to
did
call.
not want to call
Right.
any of those states.
I know.
Pennsylvania,
They
Florida,
were in disbelief.
They were
Ohio.
in shock.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
None of them.
But the one thing that kept going on in the back of my mind was, I think Hillary's going to win, but I know Trump can't stand to lose. And he wouldn't have run and gotten this far to just be some kind of shill, because you remember that was one of the theories, was he was a shill for Hillary so that she'd have an easier time getting in. No, the guy's not going to let himself be a shill to her, of all
Right.
people. I just honestly think that as much as they say that like both of those candidates were the least likable, I think people like Hillary less. She is. I mean, look, we've seen her in the public eye, affecting public policy for 25 years, right? We know her enough to hate her, right? I mean, like, I can't stand the sound of her voice.
I guess Matt not holding anything back, huh?
Yeah, right.
No, I'm just saying that I know there's a lot of people out there that say the same thing, like just the sound of her voice.
I will say though, in her concession speech, I was very impressed.
It took her 36 hours to come out with it, but
Yes, but I was impressed. But what I'm really
She has good
perplexed
writers.
over
Yeah.
is back when President Obama won first and then he won re-election, people didn't take to the streets and protest.
No.
So I want to know now where the tolerance that the left calls for, where is it now?
It never existed.
Okay. Well,
It never existed on their side there, Timmy.
All right. Well, listen, now that we've got some of the election stuff out of the way, I want to talk a little bit about for sale by owners.
Oh, that's a great segue.
So here's the $100,000 question. Yes. Are you really saving money by selling your own home? Matt and Peter, give us your thoughts on
I'm going to
that
say
particular.
on the surface, you think so, but probably in the long run, you're probably not going to get as much for your house.
I'm going to say just a flat out no, you're not.
I'm gonna agree with Matt, and
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Let's say
We said the same thing.
not really.
But I was
You
pithy.
said okay. All right. Yeah.
Well, I think isn't that like I don't need a realtor to pay all that commission to. I can
No,
do
that's
it myself.
correct. Yeah, sure. If you're selling a $500,000 house and you're paying a 6% commission, you're in essence would pay $30,000. So, if you sell your house for $570, right? Mm-hmm. Or where was it? At $500, and you sell it for $470, it's the same as if you sold it with a real estate broker for $5.
Right.
Okay, but here's my point, Peter. You're the for sale by owner.
Okay.
Matt, you're the
sign out.
top-notch realtor.
Oh, I am?
Okay, so Peter is going to write his little for sale by owner ad, put it in the paper. He's going to get it on some of these internet sites. But Matt has the power of the multiple listing service, which has taken years and years and years to acquire. I mean, it's a major, major force.
Right.
So with your exposure, Peter, let's say you're able to get 5 qualified buyers. But through Matt's exposure, he can get 100 buyers. He stands a better chance out of his 100 buyers getting you a higher price with better terms than you do with the 5 buyers.
There you go.
Right.
There's another one.
Yeah, I don't think that people realize the amount of money that is spent by realtors or their agencies that they work for to market their house.
They say that in order for a for sale by owner to effectively find a buyer who's going to pay them the highest and best price, they're going to spend a minimal of 1% marketing or 1% of the value of their home on marketing. So if your house is valued at $500,000, you can expect to pay a minimal of $5,000 to find that one particular buyer.
But you also have to know how to do it
Correct.
the right way, like an expert would.
Right.
Well, a lot of times that's why when I engage in conversation with for sale by owners, I kind of look at it as a help wanted sign because I do this for a living. I know how difficult it is for me as a real estate professional, and I do understand and commend them for trying to take that task and upon themselves.
So what do? You approach them and say, I see you're selling this place. I just want you to know I'm a realtor. Here's my card. If you ever need any help, let me know.
Here's what I'll do. Most realtors, when they see for sale by owner, it's a help wanted sign to a realtor. So they're going to call them. They're going to say, I have a buyer. I have that. I try to do something different. Everybody else is trying to take from them. So what I'll do is I'll see the for sale by owner. I'll do my due diligence. I'll get the address. I'll go and take a nice photo of the home. Next time I'm in the area, I'll pull in the driveway, leave the car running, the door open, knock on the door. They answer the door, say, hi, I'm Tim Waller from Coldwell Banker. I was just in the area, and I see that you're trying to sell your home on your own. Congratulations. And the longer I'm in the business, the more I realize that people don't have a nice picture of the home that they're selling. So I took the liberty to take this picture. I wanted you to have it. If you have any questions at all in the future,
Look
please
at you.
call me.
Tim, if I were the,
So I try to take a softer approach.
Right.
I would
sense.
break down in tears if I were the buyer and somebody came to my door doing that.
Sometimes as a realtor, I break down in tears when I get the door slammed on my foot.
I mean, the seller, not the buyer.
But it makes sense because of all, on my commute to work, I would drive by 2 houses that were for sale by owners for weeks after weeks after weeks, for sale by owner. And then eventually they turned into realtor signs. Right. So who's the person they're going to call? They're going to call the guy that gave them the nice picture.
Right.
It's
because you gave them something instead of trying to take them.
Right. I got them. Yeah.
So, and then, you have to, how do they know if their home is underpriced or overpriced? Usually, for sale by owners doing it right, they're going to call in several realtors to try to get ideas and opinions of values. I would tell them to take it one step further. A realtor can't call a CMA, which is a comparable market analysis, an appraisal because they're not licensed to do so. So what I suggest to the for sale by owner is go and get a professional real estate appraisal. Mm-hmm. Now that's a legal document. They're certified by the state of New Jersey to do that. Therefore, when you get offers from buyers, you'll know whether that offer is in line or it's not.
Okay.
So that's another good piece of advice that you can give to for sale by owners. I'll also ask them, how soon do you need to sell the home by? Some people say, well, I need to get out of here in 60 days. Well, at the current price that you're asking, it may be 460 days.
Right.
Because they're not being realistic.
Okay. Even so, and they didn't get it appraised, is what I'm assuming.
Well, and then also, is the average homeowner, are they familiar with all the different financing options that are available to buyers? Do they understand FHA financing? Do they understand VA financing? Do they understand when a buyer may ask them to contribute to their closing costs? These are all questions that we as professional realtors know and we advise all the time. Mm-hmm. For sale by owners don't. They're at a disadvantage because they only have one house to offer for sale.
Right. Okay.
We have a vast majority through the multiple listing service.
Do you find that buyers tend to stray away from the for sale by owners? I just view it as a little shady sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, what are they trying to? What are they trying to do?
Right.
I'll engage. I'll tell you how I engage with a conversation. So I'll pretty much go to the for sale by owner and say, look, I'm going to ask you a question. I hope you're candid with me. What's the main reason why you decided to sell the home on your own? Is it to save the real estate fee? And when 99.9% say yes, that 0.1% may be because they had a bad experience using a realtor before. And I just find it fascinating because the buyer the seller's paying the real estate fee. So it's costing the buyer nothing.
Yeah.
The buyer comes to us, a professional real estate agent or firm. We put them in the car. We take them through the whole process, A through Z. We show them this house, that house, this house. We negotiate the deal for them. Why are they going to bypass that and go directly to you as the for sale by owner? Because they're trying to save the same fee that you're trying to save. And guess what, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner? 2 people will never save the same fee.
Right. Right.
So let's say you negotiate with that buyer and you split it. So instead of taking 6% less, you take 3% less. Well, it costs you 1% to find that buyer to begin with. Mm-hmm. So now you already charge yourself 4%. And statistics show that a professional real estate company, full service real estate company, will get you a minimal of 3% more. So now you're charging yourself 7% to sell your own home, when in essence, I'm going to do it for 6%.
I knew it. You're not saving money.
You're really not.
No.
And it's just
You're losing money.
Losing it.
It's so complex, real estate transactions today, that to navigate through a real estate transaction is unbelievable. And also, for sale by owner, they can't offer the buyer a 1-year home warranty. Mm-hmm. When you place a 1-year home warranty on the home that protects all the major components, the heat, the electric, the central air, the appliances, that warranty is going to warrant a buyer paying more money for that house than a house that doesn't have a warranty. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Absolutely.
And again, its statistics show that homes that are providing a home warranty sell quicker and for more money. Thus, again, putting the for sale by owner at somewhat of a disadvantage. So there's 10 questions that everyone should know about selling their home. 1, how do you know your house is priced at fair market value? That's important. If the fair market value on your home is $500, does that mean, well, because I'm not paying a 6% fee, I should put it up for $470? No. You're entitled to get
Right.
the fair market value of your home, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. How will you prepare your home to be shown to buyers? Do you know how to properly stage your home and prepare it for when it's shown?
Right. Do you even know that that's a thing to do?
Correct.
I would guess most people don't.
For instance, one simple thing is make sure all the lights are on.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're showing the house, you don't have to go finding switches. Make sure all your light bulbs are working because there's a $1,000 rule. Buyer goes in, turns the switch, light doesn't go on, it's $1,000 to fix. And it may only be a
burnout bulb.
burnout
Right.
bulb. Correct. Did you fill out a seller's disclosure statement to provide to the buyer?
I didn't know I had to.
In the state of New Jersey, you don't. It's not a law. But most people expect it. Most attorneys representing buyers expect that the seller is going to provide to them a seller property disclosure telling them everything good, bad, and indifferent about the home.
Okay.
What is a lead-based paint disclosure, and do I need one? Most homeowners don't know that prior to 1978, so any properties that were built up to 1978 need a lead-based paint disclosure, where the property owner has to disclose to the buyer that they have no knowledge of lead-based paint and they have no reports to give them. Or if they do know there's lead-based paint present, they have to disclose that because then the buyer has to acknowledge what the seller's disclosed to them. How do I negotiate through the home inspection process? It's a big problem. In one of the early episodes, we had a home inspector on here.
Yeah.
That's where most deals are made or fall apart.
What would a for sale by owner, like you're saying, negotiating it, like go into what you're talking about there? Like what would they?
Okay, for instance, Peter's buying your house. You're the for sale by owner. There's no realtor involved. You have an attorney. Peter has an attorney. Well, now Peter comes and he does the home inspection, and they find things wrong with the home.
Okay.
They're saying that your roof is going to need to be replaced.
Yeah.
They said that your heating system has reached the end of its economic life.
Yeah, I use a coal.
They said that you have high levels of radon in your basement.
I never go down there.
So now Peter says, well, look, either I want you to mitigate the radon, I want you to put a new roof on, and I want you to replace the heating system at a tune of $17,500.
Sounds about right, yeah.
You're going to do one of three things. You're going to agree to his demands. You're going to tell him deals
Shove off, yeah.
or you're going to try to negotiate with him.
Okay. All right, so negotiate by meaning like, I got you. So how about I'll take the roof, you worry about the radon and all that other crap. Okay.
Correct.
I know we talked about this on a show, and I know it's not really our subject here, but just real quick, what do they do to get rid of the radon again?
They do they mitigate it. They put a radon mitigation system in, and what they actually do is they drill through the slab of the basement.
That's right. Okay.
And that sucks the air trapped underneath the slab, and they vent it outside.
Yeah.
Because once the radon hits the atmosphere, it's really harmless.
Right. Okay.
Does your municipality require a continued certificate of occupancy and a fire inspection? Most towns don't require them. Some towns do require them. You need to know this.
Okay. All right.
You take our town, where we're in Wayne, they require a certificate of continued occupancy, plus they require a fire inspection, which you need to provide both certifications at closing.
Which is a certificate of continued occupancy is what again?
Okay, that means that upon conveyance of title, or if the property is being rented, the town code official has to come out to inspect the property to make sure that there's no code violations and that it's safe for the new resident to continue occupancy.
I gotcha.
Okay? And this is a real big one. Do you know the amount of real estate transfer tax you'll pay at closing? Most sellers have no idea that they have to pay a real estate transfer tax. Most sellers don't know that if they're one of those sellers is 62 or older, they'll get a huge discount. But again, these are things that you need to know in order to make informed and good decisions.
So there's a tax that the seller has to pay.
That's at closing. It's conveyance
closing.
tax. Correct.
Just for transferring.
That's correct.
And
Every New Jersey resident pays that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then whatever capital gains tax or whatever.
No, capital gains tax, as long as it's your primary residence, they changed that a while back.
All right.
So I believe they allow each spouse $225,000 each. So you can make up to almost $500,000 in profit before you'd have to pay any type of tax.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And
Now-
then, yes.
Now, will your lawyer help with any of these things?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But again, your lawyer has other clients.
Mm-hmm.
Your lawyer doesn't do real estate
Right.
for a living. He practices law, or she practices law.
Right.
And also,
Not-
they're not going to, they're going to have the paperwork ready to go. But
That's
at that
correct.
point, it's like
You're not going. You're
you're already in it.
You're
you
not.
know?
You're not going to probably be able to talk to your attorney on the weekend,
Right.
as you could your realtor. Your realtor should be available to you pretty much 24/7. We're in a service-orientated business. That's inevitably how we get paid, by providing extraordinary service. So these are all things that for sale by owner. And when you actually start getting and explaining this in a proper way, a lot of them get overwhelmed because it can be an overwhelming process.
Sure.
For instance, Matt, you're selling your house to Peter. You're asking $500.
All right.
Peter comes over with a contract. Says, Matt, I'm going to give you your price. Here it is. Sign here on a dotted line.
Okay.
You sign that contract, guess what? You have no attorney review.
So I've signed the contract.
It's legally
without-
binding now.
Right. I can't say, hey, I just signed this. Can you take a look at it?
It's legally binding.
And he'll be like, I can't do anything for you. Idiot.
When a realtor prepares the contract, then it's subject to an attorney review.
By law?
By law. If
Okay.
you go direct to him,
It's not.
both of which aren't realtors, and he's successful in getting you to sign the contract, you're lock, stock, and barrel.
Do you know, does that go outside of real estate? Like if Pete and I just come up with a contract because I'm going to mow his lawn for the summer and he's going to pay me X amount of dollars for it, and we just draw up a contract and sign it off like that, same thing? Or is that just in real estate?
No,
you're talking?
it should be
It's
the
a state
same
law
principle.
about- it's the
Well,
contract law.
should be the same principle. Sure, you sign a
Interesting.
contract, you sign a unilateral contract, you sign it, he prepared it, you both sign it, you both agree to the terms and conditions set forth,
Mm-hmm.
you dealt directly with one another. There's no attorney review provision in that.
Okay.
It's only when a real estate broker prepares the contract that you have that attorney
Right.
review.
Because you're licensed through the state, and so you have to follow state law to keep your license. So they're going to
That's
make
correct.
a law that says you have to do this.
That's correct.
Okay.
So really, the only people that should do for sale by owner are lawyers with a real estate license,
Yeah. Or
because you need to have all those things,
Yeah.
that whole
Well,
skill set.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, there are people that are successful, but the majority of them will end up
Right.
placing the home
yeah, and
with a
especially
full-service real estate firm.
I'd imagine if you're not really doing your due diligence before you decide to do it, and you get into the thick of it, you're probably going to be spending more than that 7% that you had it up to because of trial and error, just mistakes.
Oh, and later on, we're going to get into what you should and shouldn't say to prospective buyers when you're on the phone. Who should be present when you're showing your home to strangers. It's all good stuff.
Who should be present?
Oh, yeah, we're going to get into that.
Okay. What, in part 2?
No, we're going to get into it. Well, maybe. Depending how I feel. If we get to it before part 2, we get to it.
Okay.
But and then, do you have any easements, encroachments, or any other potential problems with your property or adjoining property? You know, we had Erica on from title insurance,
Yep.
and we were talking about survey discrepancies.
Yeah, yeah.
Some deals, you can have an easement. You didn't tell Peter that you had an easement. He wanted to put a pool in the backyard, but now you have a big pipeline easement running right through your backyard where he can't put his magnificent in-ground pool he was planning to put in.
You're not invited either.
So one or two things are going to happen. He's going to sue you because you didn't disclose it, or he's going to back out of the deal, and he has every legal right to do that.
Right.
So, and when does a purchase contract become legally binding upon buyer and seller? We just covered that.
Right.
If no real estate broker prepared that contract and you sign it without having your attorney look at it first, it's legally binding.
Okay.
And Peter can be a real savvy buyer
That's right.
and put some terms and conditions in there that make your head spin, and now you're legally bound to it.
And I'm stuck.
Yeah,
Right.
All because I didn't read it and I didn't have a lawyer look it over.
that is correct.
Again.
And not only that, I mean, how do you know your buyer's qualified for a mortgage? Again, for sale by owners not in the financial business.
Right.
So there's a difference between a buyer presenting a document that says I'm pre-qualified versus pre-approved, and you really have to know how to look at these pre-quals or pre-approvals to decipher, did they check that buyer's assets? Did they check that buyer's income? Did they check that buyer's employment history?
I mean, I would have to imagine that you'd at least know to do that, though, right?
Yeah.
Don't you want to make sure the guy's got the money he's saying he can pay you?
Well, a lot of times, too, you'll have a buyer that they don't go through a realtor because maybe then they won't find out that I'm not making as much money as I claimed I was because I may be making money off the books, or I may have my own business and my Schedule C deductions are so much that
Right.
my net income
Yeah. No. You know,
isn't there to
it's-
support the loan.
I remember once I was looking to rent a place, and the landlord wanted to see pay stubs, and I said, "Well, I work freelance, so I don't do pay stubs." And he's like, "Oh, well, I don't know what to do. I can't rent to you,
Right.
Because he didn't, there's no." So yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
So, and owners are anxious to get their property sold.
Yeah.
And how many times someone calls up and says, we're going to come take a look at the house. You make the appointment. You were supposed to go to your son or daughter's soccer game, but because you had to stay home to show this prospective buyer your home, you missed your son or daughter's soccer game. And guess what? The buyer never shows up.
Right, and that's what it would become like a second job almost to
Yeah.
have to do that, and to have and obviously you're going to keep the house in a condition to be shown. You'd hope, but then you actually need to be there.
That's
Whereas
correct.
when we were selling a condo, my wife and I, she would show the house when we were at work, or if we would just be gone for the day, and she would show the house, but we didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, there's so much more that having an agent does for you, and takes off your own mind and your own plate. You could
People, I really think people don't understand what is involved from
Right.
start to finish.
Sure.
In successfully completing a real estate transaction.
And I think that's with anything, really. I mean, you don't know it until you try it, and then you realize, oh my God, this is a lot more involved than I thought.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. So I've worked with for sale by owners for years, and I too try to sincerely help them and wish them luck. But I know the inevitable is they're going to eventually need the services of a professional real estate firm because a large percentage of them do. Yeah. Well, we're gonna close it out here. We went way over time.
No, wait,
so
this is part one.
part one. Okay. And if anyone wants a copy of the PowerPoint presentation information every for sale by owner should know, please email us at njres@gmail.com. That's NJRES@gmail.com. And we will send it to you upon the conclusion of episode 2, which will air next week on December 19th. As always, we thank you for listening to the New Jersey Real Estate Show. I thank both Matt and Peter for joining me on the show today.
Tim?
And I'm going to leave you with this quote: stay the course and never give up, because once you quit, quitting gets easier. Stay safe, my friends.